Hello and welcome into Reality Check. What is going on? I am Matt O'Leary. I'm joined as always by my good friend Jeremy, aka Jets Chaos. Jeremy, how goes it, my friend?
Uh, it's going okay. A little concerned in that we're not really broadcasting because can't find it. But maybe the chat will let us know. Oh no, I see a number pop up. I think we're okay now. It took a little delay. It was a little delay. I was on because I have my phone on YouTube.
Yeah,
and the show wasn't starting. I'm like, what's going on here? But it's it looks like it started.
Okay,
So,
good.
we're doing pretty good here, man. We get great weather here in Sacramento. This is like we call it San Diego in Sacramento. That's what usually happens around mid-February to April. We have like this perfect we live in the mid 60s to low 70s.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I felt like, oh my God, thank God it was 45 degrees today. And I was like, I could actually walk the puppy today. And I was like in a sweatshirt and like not bundled up with the gloves and the hat and the whole thing. It was like, okay, it's somewhat normal after all the snow that we've gotten. But busy show, Jeremy, today, as it is rumor season. By this time next week, free agency will be underway. I'm excited for next week's show. I think it's going to be a good one. But for now, it's kind of just the last minute rumors before we're getting there. And the Jets have been linked to multiple veteran quarterbacks. Yesterday, it was Kyler Murray. He was released it was announced that he would be released by the Arizona Cardinals. And today, it's Tua Tagovailoa. So I guess we'll start with Kyler. We'll go chronological here. Where do you stand on the Kyler Murray to the New York Jets debate? Because I feel like it's pretty polarizing right now amongst the fans.
Well, I mean, now that it's not a trade, check that box. Good. Not giving up any capital. Not worth it. Good. I mean, my whole rule about this quarterback, whoever the quarterback's going to be, is that it doesn't cost us our future in any way. It does not harm our resources in this rebuild. It is about bringing in somebody who's just competent enough that we could at least function and we could see who's good. Like, again, a lot of people say, oh, well, they want to lose. So they're like, bring in a crappy nothing quarterback. But then you can't develop your players. You can't look at your players. You can't evaluate your players. We need a quarterback who's at least functional. I guess Kyle Murray, I'm not a huge fan of his, but he's functional. He's a functional NFL quarterback if he's healthy. I just think for the sake of the players on our team, we need to have a functional quarterback that we could see what we have and it just can't be a joke. I mean, these guys in the locker room, you have to think about their mental status too, that if you want them to hang around and believe, it can't be a joke. So Kyle Murray, as long as he's cheap, in the sense of when I say cheap, not long-term, right. Nothing that's big money beyond the next season, and I could live with it.
Yeah, as Surf City chimes in, says Kyler is 1.5, essentially saying that he would sign for the vet minimum, similar to what happened with Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh a couple of years ago, because of how much he would be getting paid out by the Arizona Cardinals, right? Remember the whole offset language conversation we were having with Zach Wilson and some other young quarterbacks and young draft picks the Jets made over recent years? That's coming into play here. So if he signs for more money, he would lose out on some of what Arizona would be paying him. So it's actually beneficial to him to sign on the vet minimum, which in my opinion is the most appealing thing about Kyler Murray. I feel very mixed on him, Jeremy, because one, you talk about the price. If we're talking about the veteran minimum, that's fantastic because it's probably a 1-year deal. It's near not tied for multiple years, minimal cap hit. That's awesome. And when you make the comparison to some of the other quarterbacks on the market, you could argue for Kyler Murray to be one of the better options. I just am confused because it seems to go against everything that Darren Muji, Aaron Glenn, and Frank Reich have kind of preached here, right? If they're talking about building up the culture, they're going to bring in Kyler Murray, who's a former number 1 overall pick, who needed a clause in his contract to study. And there's a podcast clip of Aaron Glenn laughing at Kyler Murray for his lack of preparation and saying, oh, his defense had, the best game of the season when Detroit played Arizona a couple of years ago. So And on top of that, for Frank Reich and the type of quarterback he likes, you think tall pocket passer, not small, working outside of structure, kind of playing backyard football. I see the upside with Kyler, but the connection, it's just not all the way there for me. So I'm confused by it.
Well, I mean, we don't know that they might be laughing at the media and the Jet fans right now in the back room. Aaron Glenn and Muji might be laughing at a meeting right now saying they actually think we're going to go for Kyler. We don't know. We don't know the truth because they've been pretty zip-lipped, right? They haven't let things leak. It's not like the old days where everything that we're interested in leaks. I don't know that, we don't know. Maybe that's all the reasons why. If we don't sign Kyler, that's going to be the reasons why. When everyone says, why didn't we, the people that are pro Kyler Murray say, why didn't we sign him? Maybe everything you just said is the reason. Because Aaron Glenn has no respect for him, doesn't think he prepares well. And, that could be the justification or their reasoning of why they're not going to go for him.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. And two, like Robert is bringing up here in the chat, he's hurt all the time.
All the time.
He has missed significant time. I wanted to pull it up in 3 of the last 4 seasons. So
Absolutely.
This past year, he played 5 games, so missed 12. It was a full 17 games before that. But in 2023, he played 8, so it means he missed 9. And then in 2022, he played 11, which means he missed 6. So that's a significant chunk of time, like I said, in the 3 of the last 4 seasons. And he's gotten worse. Like, we're not talking about the guy who, came into the league in his first 3 years in the league. I'd say Kyler was pretty good. He was a top half of the league quarterback, but he hasn't been that since 2021-ish.
I mean, it feels like he kind of locked in or put himself in position to get that second contract and then pop, like all the air came out of the balloon,
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely has regressed and, leagues learn about your weaknesses and everything. And you could get off to a good start in your career, but you have to keep progressing and growing. And if you don't, that's it. He could be an example of what that looks like. We're seeing that happen to another quarterback too in the league. I think a few of them, but like CJ Stroud might be a great example of a guy who got off to this hot start. People thought he was going to be a superstar, and right now it looks like he's regressing because he's not. They're adapting to him. The league is adapting to him, and he's not adapting.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. And, I will bring this one up from Dunk because I think it's a fair question saying, would he get as injured behind our offensive line? So looking at it, the Jets, one of the Jets' strengths is this offensive line unit, and they could continue to add to that, whether in free agency, the draft, or however you like, right? But does that play a factor into your thinking about some of these quarterbacks who maybe are injury prone? Are you looking at it and going, well, we have a good offensive line here with the New York Jets, but that might not be an issue? Or does that not really play a factor?
I'd have to look into his injuries, like how he got hurt, like what the plays look like. Because remember, he's a very mobile quarterback. He takes off a lot. So did he get hurt running or did he get hurt in the pocket? I think that's and I will openly admit I did not analyze that. So I don't know the answer to that, but that's like a wonder of mine. Like, because for him to be, if he's going to be the Kyler Murray that, like, if we're getting him, we don't want him just to, and that's why an argument of or a point of why we're probably, it would be a surprise if we did get him, because he's not Frank Reich's like prototypical quarterback, right? Like, he likes a quarterback who drops back pretty much in the pocket. But Kyler Murray as a pocket quarterback who just drops back in the pocket, are you really utilizing his strengths and what's made him successful in the NFL? So I don't know. It's hard to imagine us signing him, but except for the price. It's the price that makes it so, maybe it'll happen. But as far as the injury, better offensive line, I mean, it just depends. Like, how has he gotten hurt? Is it from the mobility and running? Because if he's still playing that brand of football, he's just as likely to get hurt. But if he's been hurt because he's been blindsided in the pocket from bad protection, then it's a good point. Maybe it won't happen as a Jet.
Yeah, I can't speak for all of them. He did tear his ACL, and that one was a non-contact that happened on a scramble. But there's been other issues, like he had the foot this year. The play that it happened on, I can't speak to off the top of my head. A hamstring strain, hand bruise, ankle, a shoulder in 2020, and a hamstring pull in 2019. So it honestly feels like something pops up just about every year.
Right. And it's like, and he could be damaged goods by now. Right. I mean, like the more your body gets worn down, these are real injuries. These are pretty serious injuries. People don't realize that even like hamstring is a career killer, man. To this day, whenever I hear hamstring in any sport for like one of the players on my team, I get stressed out because it's like they're the kind of injuries that could linger and always be a problem.
Yeah, you use the word I was just going to say, linger. Those hang around and usually don't get better or take a long period of time before they finally do get better. And the irony here, in a way, Jeremy, is I think the other person that they were linked to in Tua Tagovailoa, similar, right? Like both Kyler and Tua at one point in their NFL career had success and had a strong season that you could point to. For Tua, we're talking about the 2023 season where he led the league in passing yards, and
that's more recent too. And it's a much better year than Kyler Murray has ever had.
Correct. This is another guy though with injuries. He's missed time, right? Like 13 games in 2022. He played the full 2023 season. 2024 missed time, got benched in 2025, has had interception problems, concussion problems. Do you feel any different about Tua versus Kyler, or do you kind of group them in the same boat here?
It's kind of the same thing. There's pros and cons to both of them. Like, I mean, let's face it, Tua is one sack away. His head hits the ground and his hands are doing this. You know what I mean? Like, it's real. He's like, his brain goes into his skull very easily, like at this point, right? And that's a problem with concussions. The more you have, the easier the next one comes. So that's just as much a problem. Like he gets tackled, he gets a concussion, right? We have to worry about that like constantly if he was our quarterback. But there are pros and cons. The pros is, unlike Kyler Murray, he had 4 straight seasons of over 100 passer quarterback rating, right? So one monster season, couple of good seasons, right? But interceptions, but also high touchdown. Like the ratio is always like a good amount of touchdowns to those interceptions. A good, again, 3,500 yards in his second best year, right? With like 25, I think, touchdowns to 8 interceptions, something like that.
Yep.
Like pretty good. 4 years over the 100 quarterback rating. Those are pros that Kyler Murray doesn't have. But man, being like a tackle away from a concussion, and it's no joke, and it's not even making fun of him. It's a very real thing. It's very similar concerns, but I would say he's more of the, if you're not going to be mobile, if you're going to be in the pocket, if you're going to do a lot of running as a team and be defined as a running team, play action passes, I think Tua falls into that mold better than Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and you look at Miami's offense, and the irony in 2023, he led the league in passing yards, and they were throwing the ball all over the yard with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and they had a lot of success offensively. But when Miami in 2025, we know how they started out. They were horrible to start the year, but they actually kind of played a little bit better down the stretch and went 7-10. Their success came when they started running the football. And Tua was kind of just managing games for a while. So I could kind of see that path of finding, or like wanting a quarterback who, you trust to throw the ball 25 to 30 times a game, and you're going to lean heavy on the ground game and the defense. But something that plays a factor for me in Tua is he never plays well when it's below 40 degrees, right? Like, is that not a real concern for him to go from warm weather to a Northeast football team that doesn't play in a dome?
I at some point you have to like see there's enough sample data to have to be a concern. I will say it's a legitimate concern. There's another thing that would make Tua interesting, just from one thing I haven't heard people speak about it, but there's a connection. Miami had a quarterback that they gave up on. Tannehill? Am I saying his name right?
Yes.
and he went to the Colts and revived his career with a good running game with a lot of play action. And the offensive coordinator of that Colts team was Frank Reich. So how interesting it would be? How interesting would it be if suddenly Tua came and oh, wait a second. Did I just mix that up? He went to the Titans.
Yeah, he went to the Titans.
So I'm completely wrong on that. For some reason, I remember it like he went to the Colts. So Frank Reich never coached him. Okay, so it would have to be a totally different thing. But it would have to be him coming. It would have to be another Miami quarterback they give up on that goes to an offense that has a really good running game and does a lot of play action. And then man, that ruined my whole thing, man. That ruined my whole thing.
I'm sorry to do it to you, but yeah, he went to wrong AFC South team. But you could maybe bring up that comparison. I don't think Tannehill at his peak ever put up the numbers that Tua did, but similar tier of quarterback, right? Like some years he's like average, slightly above average. Other years he's a little below average. And it's like, do we move on? Do we upgrade? He's kind of that quarterback who has you in no man's land in a way. But if you're looking for a 1-year thing, which I think that's really the ultimate answer here is what are the Jets looking for? And in free agency, I don't think they're looking for their long-term answer. I think they're looking for someone who could hold down the fort for a season.
Right. We just want to, and we do want that one season to be competent because like I for one, I want to see if Mason Taylor is a good tight end or not. It was impossible to tell last year which direction he was going to go. He had a few good games and then boom, the whole Brady Cook thing happened. So we never got our answer. I want to see if AD Mitchell, what he is he like literally a WR5 nobody? Or is he like, hey, maybe he could even be WR2, dare I say, maybe not super likely, but you don't know. He's only been in the league 2 years. You can't figure out who these guys are. Is Mechie a good slot receiver? You can't answer those questions completely if you don't have a competent quarterback. It's almost impossible. So I almost want a competent quarterback, not that we're winning the Super Bowl, not that we're going to make a big splash, but I want to be able to see what our players can do. And I don't think that the fan base overall, like our chat, if we're looking at the chat, there's not one name that there's going to be any kind of consensus on. No, like whatever name we say, half the chat or is going to be mad and say, "Oh, that guy stinks. Why would you say him?" Well, I have bad news for you. There is no perfect candidate, right? Or especially there is no candidate that everyone is going in the chat is going to agree with. Everyone has their guy. Some people want Carr. Some people want Cousins. Some people want Murray, right? There is no one guy we're all going to be happy and smile and say, yeah, and be unified. So there's no one we could talk about that's going to not bring in a wrath and anger from people. So, I mean, and that's that's the NFL, though, right? If getting a quarterback in free agency was easy, everybody would have a quarterback.
No, of course. Absolutely. I wish it was that easy, Jeremy. Unfortunately, it's not. Can I give you a name via trade that supposedly the Jets checked in on that I would actually, I think, prefer over Tua and Kyler Murray?
Sure.
Jacoby Brissett. Because he actually, now that's a quarterback that played with Frank Reich and had some success in the 2019 season. He started 14 games for Indianapolis. And I thought he was actually pretty decent last year for Arizona. He had 23 touchdowns in 12 starts. And look, I don't think he's going to come in and throw the ball like 50 times a game. Like sometimes he was doing in Arizona. I feel like they were kind of just like F it mode. We're just going to throw the crap out of the football. But can he on most weeks complete 65% of his passes, throw a touchdown, not turn the ball over, throw for 205 yards in a game, and be a game manager? I would say yes, right? And he's had multiple examples of that in his stops, right? He did it in Indy. He did it in Miami in 2021. He did it in Cleveland. He did it in Arizona. I know the New England, he didn't look very good in New England 2 years ago, but pretty much everywhere else he went, and specifically with Frank Reich, I thought he looked pretty good. And that's a connection that I think makes sense, especially because Arizona and Mike LaFleur have been rumored to be interested in Jimmy G as their veteran quarterback option. So if they're going out and saying, we're cutting Kyler, we're going to bring in Jimmy G. Well, they're going to keep Jimmy and Jacoby on the same roster. That kind of, it seems like the same version of each other. So why not throw, I don't know, one of your comp picks, a 4th or 5th round pick at Arizona for Jacoby Brissett?
I think it's an interesting thing because one of the things that makes it interesting is we know what his floor is, right? Yeah. Like, you know what you're getting, you know, and I mean, and there is some upside, some hope. Well, because last year was kind of like a breakout year for him. I mean, of all the years he had where he was like, okay, he had a pretty good, like last year was his best year. I'm like, maybe this guy is a Geno Smith late bloomer kind of guy. Not that I don't think he's going to be, I'm not saying he's going to be this great starter or anything. I'm saying maybe he's a guy who is a little bit of a late bloomer in hitting his prime, where maybe, you know, this is where he could be the most competent, be the most effective. Like you're saying, the way our offense is supposed to be designed, we're hopefully not going to be asking him to throw the ball 50 times a game. Yeah, maybe he's at least we know that we're getting a competent quarterback. We're not getting somebody who's going to sit there and freeze in the pocket for 5 seconds with open receivers running around and not throw the ball like we had to watch last year was so painful. It won't be like that with Brissett. At least we know that with Brissett, we're getting somebody who functions in the NFL as a quarterback. So I would be perfectly fine with a move like that personally.
Yeah, Jonathan saying Brissett is the definition of competent quarterback play. I'll take him over any free agent. It's not as flashy as like Kyler and Tua and Derek Carr. I feel like from name recognition, that's going to be a little bit more flashy, where Jacoby Brissett isn't. But I think he would give you similar enough like play, honestly, to those guys at this point in his career. And he would be more expensive than the $1.5 million, but his base salary for 2026 is $4.8 million, which the Jets would be on the hook for in a trade. Like that's, wow. I feel like that's a fair deal at $4.8 million for Jacoby to come in and maybe start 12 games. And if they draft someone, you look at them the final 5 to 7 games of the year, something like that.
Right. And if you don't draft somebody, you extend them and give them $6-7 million next year. Fine. Like, because then we draft a quarterback and Jacoby's your guy to start that year that you draft a quarterback if you don't want to start the quarterback game 1. And if we go really high on a quarterback that we do start game 1, what's wrong with having Jacoby Brissett as the backup quarterback?
Nothing. I think he's a great backup. Or if you're going to draft someone in 2027, hell, if you want to even start Jacoby out of the gate and sit the rookie, you could do that if you wanted to.
It's kind of funny that you're saying his salary, like $4 million, $4.5 million. And then I think that Zach Wilson got paid $6 million last year.
Yeah, which is just completely bizarre. But anyway, good value deal for the Cardinals. They got him for his cap hit $5.3 million in 2025, would be $9.1 million this year. So if they trade him, they save $7.4 million. I think that makes sense for Arizona to trade him, especially if they like a different veteran quarterback. And it's someone that Frank Reich knows and gets along with well. To me, I think that would be the guy that I'd be looking at this point, especially after we heard the news that Kirk Cousins and the New York Jets don't have mutual interest.
Yeah, I would not be shocked at all. I think that Jacoby Brissett, the only thing that would make it less likely if you were gambling on who it was going to be is the fact that we would have to trade for him, that he's not an outright free agent. If he was an outright free agent, I think he would be the favorite. Like, he'd be the most likely guy to become our quarterback.
No, absolutely. I'm with you on that. Colin says the Cardinals honestly looked better with Brissett than Kyler. I'm in on him. There was another chat. Surf City. I'm sorry, Colin. I wanted to go to Surf Cities. Where Willis goes is the first domino next week, particularly if he goes to the Cardinals. I don't know if I see him going to the Cardinals, but my question for you was, where do you think he ends up? Because there's been rumors that he's going to get $25 million a year on a 2-year deal, potentially a little bit more than what Justin Fields got last year from the Jets. Who's the team that ponies up for Malik Willis in your mind?
I mean, the first obvious thing that pops into my head, and I think a lot of people, specifically Tigo, because he said it the first 10 minutes after it happened, that Miami hired their head coaches. That's where Malik Willis is going, and that's Miami, because they, getting the Green Bay GM, getting the Green Bay defensive coordinator, obviously it makes you think that Miami is going to be a very strong candidate to pursue Malik Willis. So that was, I definitely would not be shocked about that, as at all.
No, I think that would be my number one choice for him. I see a couple people, or Jonathan, saying Pittsburgh or the Vikings. I don't know what the Vikings do. I think they're going to be in the mix for a quarterback, but as we've discussed, that's not a guaranteed job. I think they bring someone in to compete with JJ McCarthy. So, like, is that a landing spot for Kyler Murray? Would he want to go there and potentially not start? Like, I'm genuinely asking. I don't know. I have a hard time putting someone in the veteran market to Minnesota.
I think everybody's got to realize that, because people just wanted to decide that JJ McCarthy is automatically a bust and a failure, and that the Minnesota Vikings have given up on him. And it's so ridiculous. The guy has started 13 games. He was a top 10 pick. They traded up to get him. And four of his best games were in the last 5 games that he played in. Like, he was like finally getting better. He was starting to come out and look like a quarterback. And I'm not saying that he's going to be great or even good or a starter. I don't know yet. I'm saying it's a question mark. And I'm saying there's no way the Minnesota Vikings are throwing in the towel on him. And I think that they're interested in a quarterback to bring in competition, right? In case he's inconsistent, if he comes out and he doesn't take over where he left off and he's not any good, they want to have a quarterback ready. But you have to think about the quarterback that signs there. If it's a quarterback that's looking for an opportunity to guarantee be a starter, that is not going to be the place. That's going to be the place where you have to beat out a young quarterback. And if you don't get off to a great start, things aren't going well, you have to look over your shoulder constantly. Whereas the New York Jets, if you come to us, you're the starter. There's no looking over your shoulder. There's no winning the job. So, I mean, I think that we have to just live in that reality. Malik Willis going to Minnesota makes no sense to me at all. And by the way, everybody has every quarterback going to Minnesota. Have you noticed that? Kirk Cousins is going to Minnesota. Derek Carr is going to Minnesota. Every quarterback is going to Minnesota. It's unbelievable. They're going to have 6 quarterbacks there. It's crazy.
It is nuts. It is, but the Kevin O'Connell effect, right? These guys want to play for KOC and revive their career. That's what it seems like, anyway. Got a super chat from our guy Johnny Boy in here. Says, question for Chaos: when did he know that he was a baddie? LGM. Oh, that's good stuff, Johnny Boy. Shout out, Johnny Boy. Jets worldwide.
One day I'll make it down there in Virginia to his house, take advantage of his offer for big time barbecue.
Oh, that sounds pretty good. I'm not going to lie.
He says he likes to work the grill.
I would totally be in on that. Jonathan also chimes in here, says they have every quarterback coming to us too. I think I've seen just about every veteran and every draft prospect in a New York Jets Photoshop at some point. Right? Yeah,
no, it's true. But it's like, my point is, though, every time I name a quarterback, someone argues with me. There's always a comment saying Minnesota for everyone. So I'm just like, my joke is like, okay, I guess they're hoarding all of them. Like, they're only going to get one, right? So if it's Cousins, then we don't have to worry about them taking anybody else, right?
Yeah, right. They could only, or should only, be signing one. Although for the Jets, there was a report that there's a likelihood of them adding 2 veteran quarterbacks. Now, the assumption Tyrod Taylor's hitting free agency, Justin Fields likely a post June 1 cut. Are you buying the plan that the Jets could add 2 quarterbacks? Not necessarily 2 big names, but just in the veteran market, 2 guys coming in.
Yeah, of course. But like, one will be much more clearly the starter over the other. Like, one will be just a guy who's held a clipboard for a long time that, that's just available looking for a job, versus, maybe like a Tyrod Taylor. versus a guy like whether it's Cousins or Carr or Murray or Tua, whichever direction we go, those are the names that are going to be the guy we bring in to be the quarterback. But then I wouldn't, there'll be some name that we know, so some backup quarterback in the league that they might sign to have an extra quarterback. Otherwise, what are they going to do? They're going to go with two. We're going to draft draft up quarterback and then do an undrafted free agent quarterback. Like what are the options?
Yeah.
I feel like we'll draft a quarterback somewhere. If it's not if it's not in the first couple of rounds, if we don't go for Ty Simpson, if that doesn't happen, then we'll get somebody on day 3. And then you got to figure you have to have a quarterback too. That's not going to be the quarterback too. That you have to have some veteran guy who's played before in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, you would definitely think so.
Like what Cutlets? What is his name? Vinny Cutlets? What was the guy who played for the Giants? Tommy.
I think Vinny Cutlets is a better name. I wish his name was Vinny Cutlets.
No, it'll be some guy like that. You know what I
Right.
mean? It'll be some guy like a Pickett or or the guy who played for New Orleans last year and competed with Show, whatever his name is.
Spencer Rattler.
Rattler.
No.
Yeah,
Rattler. It was.
It'll be just some dude. It'll be some guy that It'll be some guy that we really don't want to see play.
Yeah. I always, for some reason, mix up Desmond Ridder and Spencer Rattler, and I can't put my finger on why. But I always mix those two up. That's why I had to think about it for a second. It's like, wait, which one was there in New Orleans? V-Man.
Rattler, I mix them all up.
V-Man chimes in off topic, but I thought I'd share something that would make you laugh. Perfect. The World Baseball Classic released its list of 4 improved instruments. Apparently, Apparently, the kazoo is banned, but the trombone is okay. I DM'd you the list. Okay. I don't. Let me see this.
DM'd you the list.
I don't see it, V-Man. I don't know where you sent it to. I don't personally see it, but
I don't understand this at all. Why does the World Baseball Classic release things about instruments?
I guess because you could bring stuff into the V-Man. Very proud of his Puerto Rican heritage, so I'm sure he'll be rooting for Puerto Rico.
Does he mean approved instruments, like instruments you're allowed to bring into the stadium?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes on that.
How could they ban the kazoo? That's horrible. That's terrible that they would ban the kazoo. I once had a kazoo.
Did you?
I did.
I like
go to folk festivals, and we'd have these. They would do these big jug band contests.
Yeah,
I can't even get into what a jug band is, but like all the kids would get kazoos.
Okay, I like the vuvuzela. Are you familiar with the vuvuzela? It's like the long horn that you hear at like the soccer games sometimes.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Big vuvuzela guy.
I would love to have one of those sirens. I would just go up to people, like go up to Green Bean when he's not ready for it. Just like...
Or take it into MetLife, and when the opposing kicker goes up for the kick, right as the snap's about to go. Yeah, I'm sure that'll go over well at the next group outing that we do. Okay, the list. Okay, good news. V-Man has clarified the list just went through. Twitter was being slow. I have the full list, Jeremy.
Oh my God!
I'm gonna pull this up.
Super chats. We have to put his list up.
Okay, here we go. Here's the full list. Permissible instruments. You have. I don't even know how to pronounce that first one.
You bring the congas into it.
Bongos. This looks like a couple of congas, some drums, claves, the cowbell.
No, you can bring a cowbell, but you can't bring a pot or
a thunder stick, a tambourine, trombone. Imagine bringing a trombone into a stadium. Hey, there's my vuvuzela, Jeremy. Look
at the tempura, the guitar. Like instead of a guitar, like the tempura.
Yeah, that thing is pretty big too. So you're gonna have like a full band in the crowd. It looks like. So
Oh
the
my
energy
God.
is going to be pretty sick, I would think.
It's gonna be great. I would love it. I would love to bring a cowbell in, and you have Christopher Walken come up to you and go, more cowbell.
Yeah. There you go. See, there's your bullhorn you were talking about, pots and pans, thunder sticks, the whistle, the voo-voo. No vuvuzelas. That's very disappointing. I'm going to protest now. I won't be watching any because I want
Man,
my vuvuzelas. Thank you, V-Man. I've missed you. I haven't heard from you in a little while, V-Man, so I'm glad to hear that you're doing well and in the chat.
Party and peg with Artie, man. That's what they bring to every party, pots and pans.
Yeah, I always wanted to bring pots and pans to a ball game. You can't make this stuff up. Anyway, all right. So we spent a lot of times on the quarterbacks, Jeremy. But you know, there's other positions in free agency.
And by the way, we got nowhere.
Yeah, we don't know.
We're just as confused as we were before we started.
No, we haven't come to any conclusions on who the quarterback is going to be. But free agency. We were talking beforehand, a free agency group that you feel pretty strongly about going into it. You want to talk some linebackers?
Yeah, I just think it's a great group. I think that when we are shoppers, or we have available resources in both of the ways you obtain football players, right? Well, there's three because of trade, and we've been trading. So trade has been one that Muji's not been afraid to use. Of course, there's free agency and the draft, and obviously, I think as a GM, I don't know that. I'm not going to pretend I know what the GMs are thinking, but if I was a GM, I would look at the free agency market and the draft market, and that would be part of how I built my strategy. Like, what is the draft? What is going to be really strong and available in the draft? And what is going to be really strong and available in free agency? I don't want to go too crazy in free agency this year, but if you could find value, you could find a good player that's still at a good age, 26, 25, 26, maybe at the most 27. Or unless you're bringing in a veteran to lead the room for a year or two on a small contract. I think there's a good opportunity at middle linebacker. I don't know that we have to rely on the draft. We could still draft someone because technically we could use two. But I see Jacoby Dean, Leo Chanel, Devin Lloyd. The Giants just released their inside linebacker. He's older. He's 31. There's a kid from Detroit everyone keeps talking about who's like 30, 31. Those are veteran guys that you're just filling a hole temporarily for the next couple of seasons. But it's going to be very easy to fill in inside linebacker shoes, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on this. Just like to rattle off some of the big name guys, you mentioned a few, but Devin Lloyd, Demario Davis, Quincy Williams, Devin Bush, Quay Walker, Jacoby Dean, a couple of veterans, Bobby Wagner, and David. Leo Chanel is a favorite.
I like saying Louis. I like saying Leo Chanel because it sounds like some perfume or like jewelry kind of guy.
It does. That could definitely be some sort of fragrance. But Leo Chanel, as much as I've talked Alex Anzalone for the Jets, just because to me it feels like a very obvious link and connection.
Yeah.
Leo Chanel would be like, that's someone that I'm good with them paying a little bit of money to, because he's still young. He's 25. He doesn't turn 26 until October.
That's amazing.
And has put up numbers every single year. Low missed tackle rate, decent in coverage. And he's a bigger at linebacker, which the Jets need to get bigger. They've been very small with Quincy Williams and Jamie Sherwood. He's 250 pounds. I know this was someone that we liked a lot in that 2022 draft when he was taken by the Kansas City Chiefs. But that's a name other than Alex Anzalone that I would say is a really good fit for the Jets.
Yeah. And, one of the things that we really have to consider is if the Jets were to pick David Bailey in the draft, if that was their plan, you are going to be much more reliant. This is the difference between taking Reese and Bailey. Bailey, better pass rusher, more proven, more established. He's a monster, right? Reese, better all-around linebacker because he didn't play edge. He played off, like he did a lot. Sometimes he rushed the quarterback. A lot of times he dropped back into coverage. He did a lot. He's sideline to sideline, right? So if you're going to take Bailey, who is developing as a run-stopping edge, that's what he was doing, right? He was getting better at it, but he wasn't fully developed yet. You better have inside linebackers that go sideline to sideline, right? Because you want to utilize Bailey's strength as a pass rusher, but you also want to make sure that your defense complements him, that you have linebackers that you could rely on to fill in if he's lacking anything against the run. Right?
Yeah.
If you have Reese, it's not as much a concern because Reese is going to be like, if we took him, he's going to be somebody who's phenomenal in stopping the run, right? He's like, that's one of his strengths. So I think that you have to look at what you're planning to do. Like, you have to connect free agency to, what you're planning to do in the draft. But, he always says, we have a plan. We have a plan. Well, to me, that's what a plan is. A plan is, if you're going to take Bailey, okay, we need to get some really good linebackers on the inside to make sure we have some guys in that room that can stop the run. So Bailey could just focus on getting to the pass to the quarterback.
Right. And that's a good point. And I don't want to rule out, well, I think Reese is the favorite. And if you were asking me today who I think the pick is going to be, it is Arvell Reese. Sure. But I don't think you can completely rule out David Bailey for the pick at number 2. It depends on what you're looking for. He's more proven, and I definitely think you could argue that he's the better pass rusher of the 2.
Yeah, well, because we're with Reese, there's no way to know because we're projecting because he only did it 20% of the time. Like, people don't realize how little he rushed the quarterback. I watched when I was watching a couple of games. I was watching the Michigan game. You know how few times he lined up in the line and run after the quarterback? It was like every play he was dropping back, or he was like going vertical to the line, like looking for the runs to stuff the run. Like it's all projection with him. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a phenomenal athlete, and there's a lot of reasons to believe he's going to be very good at it. But with Bailey, you could watch it on film all day. He's a beast.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. It's just like I said, or you said it too, but it just really depends on what they're looking for. Lou B has a question for us, or a comment. Rams losing their second first-round pick could help Ty fall to 33? ? And then saying if the Raiders trade Max and the Mendoza pick, they could end up with 4 to 7 first-rounders. I don't think they're going to trade out of the Mendoza pick. Based on the Darren Woogie comments, he's kind of like, yeah, we called. They're not going to trade out of it. But the Max Crosby thing is obviously very, very real. What's your outlook on Ty Simpson? Not necessarily like, do you want the Jets to take him, but where do you think he is going here in the draft?
Oh, I think he's going to go in the first round. And if not, the latest would be 33 to us. Not that I'm rooting for that. And also not that I would break my TV or anything. I would, like, part of me would hate it and part of me would be okay with it, I guess, like they're taking a shot. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't, but I think he's gonna. I think it's gonna end up him going in the first round because it's quarterback, and we see it all the time.
Yeah, no, we absolutely do. I think looking at first round spots, I mean, the Rams still have pick 13. Do they like him enough to take him at pick 13? I'd be surprised by that. I think they are going to go receiver with their first pick. But outside of that, the Jets at 16, maybe the Steelers at 21, right? Like that, it's hard to see them pass up on a first round quarterback again. Depends on what Aaron Rodgers does. If he decides to retire, does that kind of force their hand a little bit? Cleveland has another pick at 24. I'm trying to see who else. I mean, that's probably it, but I would be surprised if he was available at 33. I think he goes in the first round.
I think because of the position, I think if it was a different year where there were more quarterbacks, you wouldn't see him in the first rounds. But with there being nobody else, somebody who, if you like him, it's justified to take him. Like, that's what people have to remember. It's like, if you really, really like him, it's like one thing to say, yeah, but any other year he'd be second round, but that's not the point. If you like him, if you're going to take him with the second round pick, you're not taking a guy that you don't think has any chance to be a good quarterback. Like, even a second round pick is a big investment. It's not as much as a first, but it's still an investment. It means you have something about the kid you like. So if you really believe in the kid, like the Giants did with Jackson Dart,
Yeah.
because they believed in him. So they traded up to get him. They didn't care that people were going to say that's too high for him. It's like, if you believe in the guy, you believe in the guy. So it only takes one of the 32 GMs. So, like, if Pittsburgh likes him at all, they're going to take him.
Yeah, and like you said, with the lack of options, I still think he's the second quarterback off the board. And these quarterbacks get overdrafted every single year. I would just be really surprised if we end night one, Jets on the clock at 33, and Ty Simpson's still there, and they could take him on day 2.
And that's going to be all we talk about that night. Like, after that draft party, if Simpson's still on the board, that's what we're all going to be wondering. We're all going to be wondering, are we going to take Ty Simpson?
Yeah, it's going to be, are you going to take, the debate will be, do you take Ty Simpson or do you trade out to a team who wants Ty Simpson? I think that's what we're going to be talking about and weighing the options there. I'm not the biggest Ty Simpson fan, but I get some of the allure with him, right? Like, the lack of starts really scares me, but I think he's a good processor and his mechanics are pretty good. So
he also throws anywhere on the field. He's not afraid. He's not like limited to just, he hates to throw in the middle. He doesn't throw to the sides. He throws everywhere. He throws everywhere. And he has throws. He has very high level NFL throws from college, like throws that make you raise your eyebrow and say, wow. Like, he's shown that he can make those kind of passes.
Yeah, I think I would just feel more comfortable if we saw it more. Like, he started this year really well and then didn't play well down the stretch, but then we found out he was also hurt, and if he had 30 starts and looked like he did in the first, and that 30 might be exaggerated, but you know what I'm saying. And he looked
24 starts,
and he looked closer to what he did through like the first half of the year this year. I think I'd feel more comfortable with it, but that's the draft, man. Like,
I would love to see like him also, not only that, but with some victories and some great play against great defense, like under pressure, but making, finding a way to get rid of the ball and making smart decisions under pressure. These are things that are hard to find. This is where most quarterbacks, even ones that end up being okay in the NFL, because by definition, you're saying under pressure, and we know what that means. Quarterbacks under severe, duress or pressure, typically don't perform well. So it's asking a lot, but you love to see it, right? I mean, you love to see a quarterback, when you're taking a quarterback that you've seen play under pressure and be able to handle it.
Lofi, he says he was sick shitting his pants for 3 months, which he was. He lost like 25 pounds, which is crazy. Yeah, he had some sort of like digestion bug disease that lingered throughout. Supposedly, he's up to 2:0. I forget the exact number that he measured in at, but I think, or weighed in at, I think it was like 206 is standing out to me for some reason, but he was very sick.
It's something to factor. It cannot be easy to play college football at that level if you have some kind of degenerative stomach condition and you're losing weight like that. So that we say don't make excuses. I think that's something you have to consider as a reasonable excuse.
Oh, without a doubt.
So
absolutely. So we're gonna have to see there on the Ty Simpson front. I want to pull up this Jamal chat. I could see Simpson in Pittsburgh at 21 or Pittsburgh gets Allar. There were some talks from Talking Jets last night of people in the chat who think Drew Allar can go round 1. Are you buying that kind of love from the NFL for Drew Allar?
It's not impossible. And I've said it, like when people are saying, oh, he's not even going to get drafted or he's day 3. How long have I been saying it only takes one? It only takes one GM to fall in love with his attributes, right? The size, the arm strength. Obviously the Steelers make sense in the sense that it would make sense that a GM that would take a chance on him is a GM whose team plays in winter, right? And wins in strong conditions, where a strong arm is more, anybody in the Northeast, we need quarterbacks who have stronger than normal arms. So if you said, hey, who's going to take a chance on Allar? and take a chance on him early. I think that Pittsburgh would make sense as if somebody was going to do it. It makes total sense that it would be them. It's high though, man. Like having him come back and go all the way back into the first round, that's pretty steep. I mean, it's hard to believe that Pittsburgh wouldn't be thinking he's like if you take him, you're taking him in the second round. But
yeah, I could see him going on day 2. Like I feel like a lot of mocks and a lot of the projections have him in the 4th round. I could see him getting into day 2, but the first seems a little bit rich for me.
The first seems rich. I would, because who is Pittsburgh worried is going to take him that early is another thing.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense, but like who's the other team that he's going to be very attractive to with the big cannon arm, you know? I don't know. I mean, I think I wouldn't be surprised at all if Drew Allar is picked in the second round. As a matter of fact, I'd be more surprised if he wasn't. But I lean more to the very pro Drew Allar's attributes side of things, right? I've always been a big fan of his. Obviously, I had to accept that he had a terrible year. He got injured, and obviously he's not a franchise guy or a top 10 pick, and I had to accept all that. But deep down, I always said if he comes to the combines and he's healthy, don't be surprised if he's a second round pick. Because quarterback more about the position than it is the player.
It's true. Our friend of the show, Dylan, chimes in. What's up, Dylan? Says, Will Howard run circles around Drew Allar as a quarterback? Hopefully Pittsburgh avoids all quarterbacks. I liked Will Howard a lot last year, and he went later than I thought he would. He went in the 6th round. I thought he would be a day 2 or maybe early on day 3 guy. I kind of liked Will. I would say I liked Will Howard as a prospect better than Drew Allar. I think he showed more at the college level.
Oh, I don't.
Okay, that's right.
I mean, I'm not anti Will Howard. I just Drew Allar, you know, not last season, but the season before that, up until the last 5 games, you know, was a top 5 NFL pick, and there was a reason for it. And then he collapsed. I don't know if it was mental. I don't know what it was. But I would, for as far as attributes and everything, I would take Allar, and I would be prepared for him to flop and be a bust. That's why I wouldn't take him too high. I would be completely prepared for him to bust, but I would take him on the. I like just as I think the chance that I think the ceiling potential is higher.
Okay, for me, I think the gap is bigger. Or the range of outcomes is bigger, which is what scares me. I think the floor could be pretty low, but the ceiling could be pretty high. And it depends on what you want to gamble on. Like if you're someone who really likes traits, then I get it. I understand why people like Drew Allar, but there's just some things that scare me a little bit with him.
He's a huge gamble. There's no argument about it. He's a tremendous gamble. Like he's going like the difference between he could be a complete bust. Or he could be freaking really, really good. You know, it's really hard to figure out because you have to figure out what went wrong. What happened to him? Why did it fall apart on him? And that's the real question because he was looking so good. And all of a sudden, right, he just got very, very inaccurate. But his arm strength was always there. Even last year, I'll show you some plays where his arm strength is really ridiculous.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah,
without a doubt. So winding down here, getting to the 4:00 hour. Next week when we're on will be the beginning of free agency. But as we know, Monday and Tuesday is the beginning of the legal tampering. So we will get some names tossed out there. I'm going to put you on the spot and then I'll answer this as well. Legal tampering period opens up. What is the first thing the Jets do?
It's so funny. Legal tampering is the biggest oxymoron in the world. Legal tampering.
I know.
I think the first thing we're going to do is it's the same thing as the Justin Fields from last year. The first thing, this is a prediction. I could obviously be wrong, so I'm not saying it. I would predict and guess that it's going to be the Jets are going to announce the intention to sign a quarterback, whichever one it is. But I believe that that's the first thing we're going to hear Monday as Jet fans.
Okay. And that makes sense, right? Most important position. That's what happened last year with Justin Fields. They got that done. It was a little bit, I think it was like an hour and a half into the legal tampering period. It took a little while. But that was the first thing they did last year. I think it's going to be Alex Anzalone. I've been saying that for a while. I just think the Aaron Glenn connection is too real to pass up. Linebacker is a really huge need for this team. I get the argument for people who want Leo Chanel. I think, he's younger, has more upside, the whole thing. But I think they're going to look at it and go, we need a veteran in here who knows my defense that could help these other guys get up to speed. And to me, I think
we might get both. It's not like he's going to cost that much money, Anzalone.
That's true. Could they sign 2 guys? Maybe. You think Jamie Sherwood gets traded? That was something else that I saw getting kicked around.
I would like to see it. I mean, I would love to see it. Let's get something for him because I don't think it's impossible that he could still be an okay Robin to a Batman.
Yeah, he's just not a Mike linebacker, which is fine, but that's what they paid him to be, and he's not that.
Right. And it could be sign Anzalone, draft the guy, and keep Sherwood, right? I mean, it could, and then you have just a deeper room. We're understanding that we're playing a 3-4, so we need a lot of linebackers.
Right, philosophy change. Want to give a shout out to Charles Gorman. He's the newest member of the YouTube channel. I am very excited to share for all those watching or listening that Charles Gorman has his ticket to the Talking Jets draft party. So wow. I am very, very excited to meet Charles Gorman in the flesh. I've interacted with him on social media and on YouTube for a while now. He's a legend of the Jets community. So be like Charles Gorman and pick up a ticket at talkingjets.com for our draft party in Hoboken, New Jersey.
I wonder how he's getting there. Cool.
Yeah, it's just,
Nick Shine maybe is taking him.
Nick Shine. I don't know if Nick Shine's going to be there or not, but really looking forward to that. It's next.
I'm still 10%.
Okay, good.
I have not ruled it out yet, man. I have not ruled it out.
I hope that we're able to see you out there. Any final thoughts before we close up the show for this week?
Next week's going to be tough. Just so you know, I'm going to be calling in from Arizona, hopefully. But I remember a few weeks ago when I said, when you told me the day that free agency opens or the illegal tampering opens up, and I wanted to throw up, and I said, what are we going to talk about for the next 5 weeks? I am shocked about how fast that went, and that here we are on the verge. Yep. I think that it's going to be nice to at least have one less thing that we're all fighting and screaming about, and just to know.
And get some answers.
It'd be nice to check that box and know. And I think that most of us, I would say 90% of the fan base is going to feel a little bit better. We're going to make some moves that are going to make people feel a little bit more hopeful. Maybe not for next year, but a little bit more hopeful for the team, as the organization as a whole moving forward. It always seems to happen like that. So hopefully we'll make some moves that bring at least some hope and better feeling into our fan base.
Absolutely. Jonathan's asking, when is the stream next week? We'll be at the same time, so 3 p.m. Jeremy's out in Arizona, so there's the time difference, and we'll keep that the same. But I did want to mention that on Monday and Tuesday, I'll be going live at 12 o'clock. So if you want to hang out on Monday or Tuesday, drop in the chat, come say what's up. We'll react to any free agent signings that are made, and then we'll be live on Wednesday, myself and Jeremy at our usual 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific time.
I'll be in Arizona. Maybe I'll get Kyler Murray live to join the show.
I love it. For Jeremy, I'm Matt. Subscribe if you're new. Like the video before you go, and we'll talk to you next time.